Thank you so much for staying with us on Going Beyond. Sabrina Siga is my guest here today, a very well-known artist indeed. She's been telling me about her love of painting of horses. But now I'm going to move into another area, but first, just a small, quick point that I'm going to ask her about. You were talking about, well, if we had more horses, we wouldn't have had so much pollution. So I was wanting to draw you out on that, actually.
In the sense that we would have had the horse to take us around, and there would be no cars, no petrol prices going up.
So hence no pollution,
no
in other
pollution.
words. Right.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense. Now, Sabrina, you've also along the way kind of begun, and for some years now, to focus on some biblical art. Now, I just want to draw you out and tell me what inspired you to actually go suddenly from horses to biblical art, quite a different direction, really.
Yeah, see, we needn't be passive victims of this world which sort of wants us to and wants to entertain us. They want to distract us. We have the ability to make choices and decisions. So a spiritual life is so important in this world which is sort of energy draining, and we need to safeguard that inner space which is in us so that we can focus it on the beauty of Christ.
So you do like doing biblical art? You find it, is it cathartic in a way, or what?
Well, biblical art has always been there throughout history, in the sense that we have the word, you see. We have the word, but when you read anything from the Bible, what we have are images. That's human nature. We picturize everything that we read. So we used to have the church as patrons of art. When you walk into a church, there's always these paintings that tell you the stained glasses, which are so
exquisite,
amazing, which you can't find them done anymore. It is so difficult and to do, and they give you a sense of what the word is about, because maybe in those days you didn't have many people reading. The Bible was not in print. There was no the print media had not come into being. So these images were what the common man had to make him realize that here is an amazing God who has created all that is around us for us.
Right. So let me draw you out here then. Is there a market at all for biblical art?
There should be, because when you see, we are bombarded with flashes of what the advertisers tell you, but when you have an art that is in front of you, you're able to actually feel, you're actually able to ask not just what it means, but be able to sort of discover and go more in depth as to what does this picture mean to me, what does it bring out in me, the emotions, and it's there for us to feel, to judge. Sometimes it can it brings out so much of your own emotions when you look at it. Some of it could be symbolic. The cross is symbolic to us. It tells us of the suffering of Christ, what he went through for mankind.
Right. Sabrina, I have seen a kind of almost a revival of biblical art in the West. In fact, there's a very amazing museum in New York, which is the Museum of Biblical Art. And there is something very tranquil and very peaceful. And when you actually go and look at it, you don't have to be a real artist, but when you look at something that's biblical art, it kind of does something to you. And I just wonder if when people like yourself who are involved in biblical art, when you're doing that, are you ever thinking about what I, as a person who comes to watch it, has that feeling, or is it just something about you that makes you want to do it?
Every piece of art is what the artist wants the viewer to bring into his or her world. Okay. So when we look at when I do a piece of art, it's part of my experience, what I have imbibed from the Bible, what it has taught me, or my experiences in my daily life, that I try to bring it out. Some of biblical art can be representational. It can just bring out the story, illustrate the story, but some of it goes more deeper into it. For instance, there's a painting that I've done of the prodigal son that everybody is familiar with.
Yes, exactly.
But my interpretation of it is, here is the father looking at this ring, and then there's already a robe by the side of him, and there is the fatted calf. and he's looking way ahead. He knows by faith that at some point God will bring his son back to him. He has these things ready for him, because the Bible story tells us that he said, bring the fatted calf, bring the robe, put the ring on his. He had it all ready.
Be ready, yes.
That's my interpretation, you see, and I want the viewer to have an insight into that.
Right, but when somebody goes to actually view art like what you're talking about, if the artist is not actually present to explain it as you are explaining it to me, I often wonder then, does it in point of fact mean that I can interpret it any way I want to?
Actually you can, but it's up to the artist to some extent, because then you'll ask the reason. What is he already doing with the ring in his hand? There's already a robe. Maybe this is it. They start thinking about. Now the word is what is so important. God, through his word, which is so powerful, he made all of creation. And that's where we start with, you know, this fact of we are, as an artist, we are taking material things from this world. And God already has said this world is good, because he says that in Genesis, what I've made, that is he himself, and he looked at it and he said, this is good.
Right.
So whatever we are doing,
it's good.
It's good.
It's good. Okay, fine. So now animals and then biblical art, and any other forms of art that you personally are fond of, or do you, like a lot of artists, do everything?
No, I do just these two, but now that you've brought the subject up, for instance, there's a painting by Goya, this very famous artist, and it's the 3rd of May, where during the Napoleonic Wars, there are these people, innocent people being shot, and there's this picture of this one man where the spotlight is there on him, in the sense the artist is, you know, bringing this out. It's sort of dark all around, this one picture of this man with his hands out. A viewer might look at that and not think of the Napoleonic Wars, but he might think of that as, here's is someone like Jesus, an innocent person,
a victim.
A
victim. And in this day and age, I mean, you just open the newspaper and everybody's a victim of something or the other.
So, right. But it brings you back to the word, you see. It is whatever it is, it's the spiritual thing which can be interpreted in any of these,
in whatever whichever way you want.
There's another one of
yes.
Ellis Wilson, who shows a procession, funeral procession, and there is no beginning, there's no end, but you know it's a funeral procession, and in the middle, in the center figure, there's one lady who is very, very pregnant. So here we have again, you know, life which is going, and there's the hope.
Life which is, yes, okay, fine,
so
right.
Hope.
That's interesting, interesting, Sabrina. Time to take another short break here on our show, but we'll be right back with you. Please just stay right where you are. Time for us to have another very quick little break. We'll be right back with you.